Hello, and welcome back to Part 3 of the Math 0362 Test 5 review. So, this part 3, is solely quadratic formula. You'll notice I wrote the quadratic formula to the right of us, and we're just going to use that formula over and over again. So you're given this equation. Now, notice there's nothing in front of the x squared of the x. So I'm going to squeeze in a 1 and a 1. So that means a is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 1, and c is equal to negative 6. Let's use our formula. Negative b, so that means minus negative 1, plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is negative 6, and everything over 2 times 1. First of all, the double negatives here become a positive, so that's going to be positive 1. And the 2 times 1 in the bottom becomes 2. But let's work the inside. That's the most important. So negative 1 squared, that's positive 1. Then negative 4 times 1 times negative 6, that's positive 24. And 1 and 24 add to 25. You know what? I like 25 because 25 is perfect. It's 5. So what you now have is 1 plus or minus 5 over 2. If you add, 1 plus 5 is 6, and 6 over 2 becomes 3. If you subtract, 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and negative 4 divided 2 is negative 2. Those are your answers. 19. You don't have to do what I'm about to do, but it makes factoring easier. Notice that 6, 3, and 9 you can divide by 3. So I'm going to divide all the numbers by 3. So you get 2x2 minus 1x minus 3 equals 0. So a is 2, b is negative 1, c is minus 3. Let's use our formula. So negative b, that's going to be minus negative 1, plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared, then minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 3, and then everything over 2 times 1. No, sorry, 2 times 2. So again, double negative means positive, positive 1. And on the bottom, 2 times 2 is 4. But let's work the inside. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Times negative 3 is positive 24. And just like last time, 1 plus 24 is 25. And square root of 25 becomes 5. So in all, you get 1 plus or minus 5 over 4. We can now treat as two problems. If you add, 1 plus 5 is 6, and 6 over 4 becomes 3 over 2. So that's one answer. If you subtract, 1 minus 5 is negative 4, and divide by 4, that equals to negative 1. All right, number 20. So first of all, quadratic formula only works if everybody's on the same side. So that means 28 and 6 have to move. No problem. Just do minus 28b and minus 6, like so. But there's more. Notice how they're all even, so you can divide everybody by 2. Makes things a little more easier. So you get 24b2 minus 14b minus 3. So A is 24, B is negative 14, and C is negative 3. We're now ready to go to our quadratic. So it's going to be minus negative 14. And on the bottom, it's going to be 2 times 24. And then the square root is going to be negative 14 squared minus 4 times 24 times negative 3. Okay, so it's set up now. Okay, next, the double negative, that's going to become positive. So that becomes positive 14. And on the bottom, 2 times 24 is 48. So we're really only going to focus on the inside. First of all, 14 squared is 196. Next, 4 times 24 times 3, that's going to become positive 288. If you add 196 and 288, you get 484. Now, I like 484 because 484 is a perfect square. It's 22. So what we have is 14 plus minus 22 over 48. If you were to first add, 14 and 22 becomes 36, and 36 over 48 becomes 3/4. If you subtract, 14 minus 22 is negative 8, and divide by 48, you get negative 1 over 6. And those are your answers. Okay, so 21. Again, everything is not on the same side. I can move the 6y plus 3 to the right or the 4y to the left. I'm going to move the 4y squared to the left side where it changes to positive. It doesn't matter, but I like my squares to be positive. So I see A is 4, B is 6, C is 3. Let's plug everything into our formula. So we're going to have negative 6 plus minus square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 4 times 3, and then all of that over 2 times 4. So you still got negative 6, and the bottom is still 8, but we're going to work the inside. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 4 is 16, times 3 is 48. If you subtract this, you end up getting negative 12. Now, a couple of things happen here. 12 is not perfect, but two numbers that make 12 are 4 and 3. And 4 is perfect, it becomes 2. But notice how it was negative. Because of that negative, it's really 2i squared 3. So what you end up getting is negative 6 plus minus 2i squared 3 all over 8. You're not going to be able to add or subtract, but do notice that 6, 2, and 8 are even, so you can divide everything by 2. So negative 6 becomes negative 3, 2 becomes 1, and 8 becomes 4. So negative 3 plus or minus I squared 3 all over 4. And that's our answer. 22. Well, for 22, I can see that A is 1, B is minus 10, and C is 26. Let's punch in everything. So what's going to happen is it's going to become minus negative 10 plus minus negative 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 26 all over 2 times 1. Well, the double negative is positive, so that's positive 10. And on the bottom, 2 times 1 is 2. And now the inside. Negative 10 squared is 100. And 4 times 1 times 26 is 104. If you subtract, you get negative 4. Now, I like 4 because 4 is perfect. It's 2. But because it's negative, that really means 2i. So you get 10 plus minus 2i over 2. And notice how 10 and 2 are all even, so you can divide everything by 2. So you get 5 plus or minus I. All right, 23. It's not equal to 0, so I'm going to have to move the 2 over. So what you're really going to have is x squared plus 2x minus 2 equals 0. So a is 1, b is 2, c is negative 2. Let's put this in. So you get negative 2 plus or minus 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 2 over 2 times 1. So you still got the negative 2 out here. You still have 2 at the bottom. Now let's work the inside. So 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1 times 2, that's going to become positive 8. And 4 and 8 add to become 12. It may not be perfect, but numbers that make 12 are 4 times 3, and 4 is perfect. It's 2. So you get negative 2 plus or minus 2 square root 3 over 2. And now you can divide all the 2's, so it becomes negative 1 plus or minus square root of 3. Okay, 24. The 6t is going to have to move. So it's going to become 2t2 minus 6t plus 1 equals 0. So a is 2, b is negative 6, c is 1. Let's put this in. So it's going to go minus negative 6 plus minus square root negative 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 2. Well, the double negative will become positive, so that's going to become positive 6 plus minus square root. 6 squared is 36. 4 times 2 times 1 is 8, and 2 times 2 is 4. Working the inside, 36 minus 8 is 28. 28 is not perfect, but two numbers that make 28 is 4 and 7. And I like 4. It's perfect. It's 2. So you're left with 6 plus or minus 2 square root 7 over 4. Notice that 6, 2, and 7 are all, 6, 2, and 4 are all even. So you can divide all by 2. So you get 3 plus or minus the square root of 7 over 2. So that concludes part 3 of the Math 362 Test 5 review. Please go to our website and click on the link for part 4. Part 4 will be the final part. So tune in a few minutes. Thank you.